What would happen if you ate the world's deadliest plant? Would you be dead in seconds? Do you even have time to scream for help? In this video, we will tell you everything about it. What would you do if you were lost in the jungle and super hungry? Pick up a nice looking nutritious apple or a delicious red berry. Seems pretty harmless, but what if it was accidentally a poisonous plant and you only had seconds to live? There are seemingly innocuous flowers out there that are the definition of the phrase "looks can be deceiving." From pretty green plants of which only 3 micrograms can render a fully grown adult dead, to toxic stems that were used to make an entire platoon sick to their stomachs and die. Let's explore some of the world's deadliest plants. Welcome back to the Why Factory, where we answer some of life's biggest questions. Since the beginning of time, the fruits, leaves, roots, and flowers of plants have been used as a source of food and as a remedy for illnesses. Before technology advanced to what we know it today, humans had no option other than to experiment with different plants and put their own life at risk. That's the beauty of vegetation. It is enigmatic, mysterious. You may never know that a deadly and dangerous species is hidden behind the most delicious-looking fruit or the most beautiful flower. On the other hand, some parts of the same lethal plant could be the key component to survival. Let's begin our list with the most dangerous tree in the world. What happens if you consume its sweet-smelling, apple-like fruit? Well, for a plant whose nickname is the Tree of Death or the Chamomile of Death, you have your answer. Hippomane machinella is lethal to almost all mammals, including humans, and is native to the islands of the Caribbean Sea and Mesoamerica. Don't get deceived by the tree's sweet fragrance. You will suffer or die. When the tree is rubbed, a milky sap containing phorbol is produced that can inflame skin tissues, cause blisters, burning, and eruptions in your epidermal layer. Not a pretty sight. If ingested, you will have to deal with severe vomiting, endless diarrhea, and eventually death. Oh, and if you ever try to burn this plant, the Hippomane machinella will ultimately take its revenge this way too. Its smoke can cause significant respiratory problems or temporary blindness. Smells are definitely deceiving in this case. A plant named belladonna couldn't possibly be poisonous, right? Before you judge a book by its cover, or in this case a plant by its beautiful flower, here's what you should know. Commonly found in West Asia, Europe, and North Africa, belladonna is one of the most well-known poisonous plants. From ancient Egypt to the Middle Ages, the plant was promoted for its use as a powerful narcotic. The plant is a lethal cocktail of scopolamine and atropine, and if poorly administered, it can have adverse effects on the nervous system. A small dose can paralyze the nerve endings of your involuntary muscles like your heart or blood vessels, leading to a coma or death. Low doses can create delusions and hallucinations, whereas high doses of 10 to 20 berries are more than enough to kill a healthy adult. If you're lost in the jungle, don't go around eating berries. Castor oil is a great moisturizer that promotes good skin health, soothes inflammation, and even accelerates wound healing. But the bush has a thick woody stem, and red or dark purple leaves that are coated with a white powder named ricin, which is extremely toxic. Mere contact with this substance can lead to nausea, vomiting, kidney failure, and even internal bleeding. Basically, if you come into contact with ricin, you've signed your death letter and have only 10 days to live. The substance interferes with the cellular metabolism of humans and blocks the chemical process that sustains life. As a result, cells die and your organs begin to fail one at a time until you eventually die. For a child, 1 castor bean can be lethal, whereas 5 beans will kill an adult. Make sure that castor oil plant doesn't show its true colors to you. Let's rewind to 1808, to the Spanish War of Independence. A platoon of Napoleon's soldiers stopped to roast some meat using some oleander stakes that they had found around a temporary camp. Soon, 8 of the soldiers dropped dead, and the remaining 4 were severely intoxicated. While some may presume that something was wrong with the meat, this wasn't the case. The oleander, or the laurel of flower, or Trinitaria, is a drought-resistant shrub of Mediterranean origin. Its intense green leaves and flowers, stems and seeds and crunches are all highly toxic, which is why it is called the most poisonous plant in the world. If you happen to consume any part of it, its potent poison, which is a cocktail of toxins called oleandrin, act on the heart, causing nausea, vertigo, vomiting, exhilaration, depression, bowel movements, convulsions, tachycardias, arrhythmias, and eventually death by cardiac arrest. No matter how much the pretty flowers may lure you, stay clear of the oleander. Of course, poisonous plants can deceive even the best of us. Sometimes these plants were used as a form of punishment. For example, the renowned philosopher Socrates died after he was condemned at a trial to drink a glass of hemlock that contained the poisonous cicuta plant. Cicuta is an invasive species that grows in cool and humid environments and contains some highly toxic substance, including cicutin, that inhibits the normal functioning of the central nervous system. It causes the so-called cicutism, which starts off with headaches, vertigo, a lowered body temperature, reduction of muscle strength, and eventually paralysis. In fact, only a few grams of its green fruits are enough to kill an adult. In ancient India and the Indochina region, the indigenous American licorice, or a species of Climbaliana, was administered to patients to eliminate internal parasites or as an abortifacient. But don't try to administer it yourself today. Its flowers are grouped in clusters and have pink or reddish-purple colors. However pretty it may be, the plant contains a Ibrina toxin that prevents the synthesis of proteins faster than you can blink. A single molecule can paralyze 1,500 ribosomes per second, and the plant is 75 times more dangerous than ricin. To put things into perspective, only 3 micrograms of this substance are required to kill you, and mysteriously, the entire plant is toxic. Could you have an enemy amongst your houseplants? Well, the philodendron is one of the most popular houseplants because it is aesthetically pleasing and super easy to grow. However, unknown to most people, the plant contains calcium oxalate crystals that are both toxic to humans and animals. The intake of this plant can cause severe dermatitis or swelling of the mouth and digestive tract in the case of humans. In cats and dogs, however, its effect is more serious and it can cause convulsions, pain, spasms, and swelling. If your furball loves to explore the taste of new plants, then don't get a philodendron. But have you ever wondered why just these specific plants are poisonous? Over the years, these plants have had to adapt to a slew of climatic, environmental, and earthly changes. They develop their toxicity as a result of their hostile accommodation and the urgent need to defend themselves from predators or enemies. The process of evolution has allowed animals, or to be more specific, herbivores, to be able to differentiate between plants that are suitable to consume and those that are harmful or deadly. The toxins of these plants are therefore poisonous only to some species. Some affect certain mammals, whereas others affect even humans. Some plants may only be poisonous during certain stages of their life, which means that their threat is not permanent. Whatever it may be, perhaps it is not the best option to experiment and risk your life unless you have nothing to lose. What if we told you that only 1 microgram of a plant was enough to kill you, a healthy adult who weighs 80 kilograms? The devil's helmet, or wolfsbane, is a herbaceous plant that originates from the mountainous regions in the Earth's northern hemisphere. It is considered the most toxic plant in Europe, and all for good reason. It contains aconitine, one of the most toxic as well as active alkaloids. Even the slightest contact with the plant can slow down your heart until it stops beating. Some of the symptoms that you might witness after touching or eating the plant include burns in your mouth, vomiting, diarrhea, salivation, heart problems, and even death. When you see a plant with purple, bell-like flowers, turn in the other direction and run. And finally, we have estramonium, a poisonous plant that is associated with voodoo and witchcraft. Found in riverbanks, stables, or garbage dumps, this versatile yet deadly plant is like a weed that you shouldn't be thankful for. It contains tropical alkaloids that in high doses can cause aggression, coma, and death. They're often related to witchcraft and voodoo, as shamans used to smoke their leaves with tobacco to enter a trance. A small dose of say 4 to 5 grams can kill a child. It may look like a pretty pine cone, but don't be a daredevil. These deadly plants are the result of the evolutionary process and can be easily mistaken for a ripe berry or a crunchy apple. Yet, seconds later, you can drop dead on the ground just as you bend down to pick up the flower, the tree of death. What would you do if you were stuck in a forest and had to live on raw food? Would you take a chance with one of these deadly plants? Comment below. As always, like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss the next why. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.